Simon had led into sin the woman he now despised. She had been deeply wronged by him. Simon's sins were great, and the same Jesus that had forgiven Mary was the same Jesus that had healed and forgiven him. But Simon wasn't looking at himself. Instead, he was busy looking at others. And that's the whole point I'm trying to make. In our first story, we found Martha busily occupied with the everyday household chores. She wasn't doing a bad thing, for her services were needed. But Jesus wanted her to look at her own heart instead of looking at others. Martha was so consumed with the fact that Mary wasn't helping. She didn't stop to think that she too needed to sit at Jesus' feet. She was in jeopardy of valuing deeds more than the life-giver himself. And Jesus needed her to understand, you can't ever work your way into heaven. The fact is that to be the difference, our Pathfinder theme for the year, begins within our own hearts. It begins by looking internally first and allowing God to change us. This issue of looking at others first instead of ourselves is the common thread of all the stories we've viewed this morning. When Mary was thrown at the feet of Jesus, her accusers were fixated on her being caught in the act and on their hatred of Jesus. Not until Jesus wrote their sins in the sand did they give any thought to their own lives. At the death of Lazarus, both the disciples and Martha struggled with belief. They were focused on the immediate situation. Martha and Mary both insinuated that Jesus let their brother die. Ultimately, it was all about what they wanted instead of what they needed. And in the final story, both Judas and Simon missed the entire point. Judas lost his eternal salvation because of his unwillingness to look inside himself. And Simon was on the verge of doing the very same. Through the grace and mercy of God, came under conviction. This morning, God is asking each of us to make a difference in this messed up world that we live in. The truth of the matter is, we don't have anything to offer, at least not in our own strength. Only through the grace of God are we able to step up to the plate. But being a difference and making a difference, it starts with us. It begins in our own personal journey with Christ. It requires us to look first at our own deficiencies before we can ever attempt to help others. See, change? It starts in me. It starts in you.